All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to tear down a core belief most of us have about how to win people over. You know, the idea that the best argument always wins the day. But what if that's just completely wrong? Let's explore a much more powerful idea: winning through results, not rhetoric.
So let me ask you something. When you really need to prove a point or get someone on your side, what's your first instinct? For most of us, it's to talk. We use logic, we persuade, we argue. But today, we're going to look at a totally different path, one that's way more effective.
And boom, this is the heart of it right here. The common belief is that you win with a better argument. The powerful truth? No, you win with a better outcome. That one little shift in focus, it changes the entire game.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about the argument trap. It's that default mode we all have of trying to talk our way to a win. It feels productive, right? But more often than not, it's actually working against you in ways you probably don't even see.
There's a simple, kind of brutal psychological truth here. The moment you start to argue, you're not just sharing information, you're starting a battle. You're basically inviting the other person to fight back. It puts them on the defensive, and they'll push back, often just because you pushed first, no matter how great your point is.
And here's something really subtle but so critical. When you get into a debate, there's a status shift. You're basically asking the other person, please agree with me, please validate my logic. And in that moment, you trade your authority for their approval. You step down from a position of leadership and into the messy arena of opinion.
So if arguing is a trap, then why is it so bad? Why do our words fail us so often? Well, the answer gets right down to a fundamental part of human nature.
This is the absolute key to understanding it all. An argument is almost never just a clash of ideas. It's perceived as a clash of identities. When you try to correct someone, their ego flares up. You're not just challenging their opinion, you're challenging them. And at that point, you can forget about logic. It has already left the building.
So, let's just sum it all up. Arguments create instant resistance. They often make people double down and get even more stubborn. They feel like an attack on who someone is, not what they're doing. And you know what? At the end of the day, having to argue is usually a sign that you don't have the real leverage to make things happen anyway. Okay, enough about the problem. Let's get to the solution. It's time to pivot to the real alternative, the force that just cuts through all that verbal quicksand, the undeniable, unstoppable power of proof.
This is the real game changer. An argument attacks the ego head-on, but action just sidesteps it completely. See, you can argue with a theory all day long, but you can't argue with a bridge that's already built and standing strong. Action doesn't ask for agreement. It creates a new reality that people simply have to accept.
I love this table because it lays out the two paths so clearly. You have the arguer, who's stuck in a loop of explaining, persuading, and seeking approval, and then you have the builder, who's all about executing, creating proof, and actually producing something. So you've got to ask yourself, which one are you spending your time being?
And this is the bottom line, isn't it? When your plan works, when you get the results, the conversation is just over. Success is the only argument that you will ever need. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually make the shift? How do we stop being the arguer and start becoming the builder in our day-to-day lives? Let's break down the practical steps.
It all starts with one decisive action. Even a small step forward changes the whole dynamic. That action starts to create momentum, and people are naturally drawn to things that are moving, that have energy. And as you keep going, you build your proof, piece by piece, until your work is doing all the talking for you.
You have to remember this. The quiet focus of someone who is actually building something will always be more powerful than the loudest arguer in the room. Your progress answers the questions. Your success is the mic drop. So, as we start to wrap this up, let's bring it all together. The goal isn't to win every verbal fight. The real goal is to make the fight totally unnecessary in the first place.
I want you to make this your new mantra. While everyone else is getting bogged down in arguments, you build. While they're busy explaining themselves and justifying their position, you advance. And while they are looking around for permission and approval, you create proof. Solid, undeniable proof.
Because when you really think about it, true power, true influence, it doesn't need to get down in the mud and argue. It operates on a completely different level. It shows, it produces, it creates a new reality that other people then have to react to. That is what real influence is all about. And if you take only one thing away today, let it be this. Stop trying to prove yourself with what you say.
Start proving yourself with what you do, because your results will be the only argument you'll ever need.
So I'll leave you with a question to chew on. This week, where can you stop preparing an argument and start building your proof? Where are you going to let your results do all the talking?